trouble when you go for something kind of lightweight-ish, or something that you would see as accessible, is to make sure that when you when people are playing the game, especially on multiple plays, that there's almost like a strategy element which is introduced to the game, because otherwise it just becomes kind of like a kind of a game by the motions type thing. Dead and Breakfast is one of these games that on its kind of initial impressions kind of does give you the impression that it is simply trying to kind of, it's almost like a spatial puzzle. You know, your kind of your barren parks, and you could almost say it looks quite boring in terms of what it actually brings to the table, because there doesn't seem to be kind of much going on. You lay a couple of tiles, you stick a guest down, you know, hooray kind of thing. However, what becomes clear as time goes on is they've tried to introduce kind of little changes, little differences, little touches, in order to kind of bring on this challenge, in order to bring on, to make things a little bit kind of more different, to mix it up a bit. The first thing is even just the tile selection itself. Yes, you've got the ghost, but you can only pick the tiles that are in front of the ghost. You know, the first couple of tiles that are in front of the ghost. You can't pick any tiles behind the ghost. If you pick the tile, then when you replace that tile, that's where the kind of the ghost does. And what that does is that means that in a kind of a state where you're trying to plan out and maybe pick a tile that's going to be most suitable for you kind of going forward, you can end up getting scuppered and having to kind of make do. So rather than making this just a pedestrian, I'm going to pick this one and put it here, that's why sometimes you have to take a couple of these instead, because you can't actually take the kind of the tile that's going to be best suited for your intentions. And that takes you on to the next thing. This isn't just about laying down tiles, because yes, you're concentrating on putting the guests down, but ideally you might be looking at a guest that maybe is afraid of, say, like spiders or something, and you want to make sure that you're putting them in a column in a row which maximizes the number of spiders that are there, so you get the most number of points. But also tied into that is you're also wanting to make sure that as you're laying the tiles, the flowers, these beautiful flowers that appear as part of the artwork, that they are connecting back down the lobby, so that you end up scoring more points when it comes to kind of like the end of the game. And what this does in its turn is it takes what could have been a very, very pedestrian affair, and it actually mixes it up, so that's why, because look at it this way, when I saw the fact it took like about 45 minutes on the box, I was just like, well, I'm not being funny, but I've played like King Domino, which is a tile laying game, and we can get through that within about 15-20 minutes. This looks like you're laying, you know, a less number of tiles. You're kind of, you know, it doesn't look like you're doing anything in special or in particular with them. And it wasn't until you kind of get into the nitty gritty of the game that you realise at some points you're having to compromise on what you're playing, and that's down to the ghost. It could be down to what other people are kind of picking up. And in that case, it kind of elevates Dead and Breakfast from being just another generic kind of tile layer into something which is a little bit more tactical than I was expecting. It looks striking. I love the colours. I love the purple on this. I love the brightness of it. I like how when it's on a table, it's there and it's striking, and you know, the artwork itself is very kind of beautiful and colourful and solid and everything like that. Again, when you're looking at like the rulebook, here's another rulebook that kind of wants you to play the game I've said this before, there's so many games out there where the rulebook is just a kind of, well, where's that again? I didn't get this. Where can I find this? And it's just very, very straightforward. Yes, the rules are very, very simple, but too many times I've seen a situation where a rulebook's absolutely ruined the game for me, and it's made me not want to play it and not want to get it to the table. So the fact that this is Dead and Breakfast, and it's another brain crack game, and they just seem to have their heads switched on when it comes to kind of putting kind of rule books together. It's fantastic. So in terms of age wise, it's maybe not as youngish player. I mean, you might struggle to maybe get away with a 5 or 6 year old to get right the spatial stuff. Once they're hitting kind of like 7, 8, 9, I mean, they shouldn't find this kind of an issue at all. And it's like the jokey stuff, it's like jokey spiders, jokey bats. It's meant to be kind of scary and stuff like that, but it doesn't actually really look scary. You know, it's nothing worse than maybe what I've seen in Hotel Transylvania. So it's a good fun game. It's easy to tear down and set up. You know, it's easy to kind of have multiple games to kind of reset it and get it down together. It's a nice little kind of filler that if you want, everybody can take their time and you can kind of go back and forward between it. But yeah, it's a decent fun game. It's kind of like a surprising strategy which I wasn't expecting when I was going to play it. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. So yeah, Dead and Breakfast, maybe alive and kicking, to be perfectly honest, with a bacon sandwich. So that is Dead and Breakfast by Braincrack Games. My name's Richard. This is We're Not Wizards. Remember, roll on bacon. Stay safe. Make something awful. But until the next time, goodbye.